My girlfriend looked me straight in the eye and said, "Leave if you want. You'll be back begging within a month." After humiliating me in front of all her friends, I looked at her and replied, "Start counting." Then I packed my things, moved to another city for my dream job, and tripled my salary. A few weeks later, my phone rang. It was her. But before we get into what happened next, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you enjoy stories like this. Thanks for watching. Looking back now, I ignored so many red flags that I probably could have opened my own flag store. For months, Vanessa had been slowly tearing me down, and I was either too naive or too hopeful to recognize it for what it was. It never came in huge arguments or obvious insults. Instead, it was little comments here and there, dismissive gestures, subtle put-downs. Each one seemed small enough that calling it out would have made me look oversensitive. But over time, they started piling up. I remember one evening when her company hosted a happy hour and she invited me to meet some of her coworkers. I showed up wanting to make a good impression. Her friends were already there, Jessica, Amber, and Chloe. They all worked in marketing and looked like they were headed to a nightclub rather than an office event. Jessica was the first to greet me. "Oh, you must be Ethan. Vanessa has told us so much about you." I smiled. "Good things, I hope." Jessica laughed. "She says you're very stable." The way she said the word stable made it sound less like a compliment and more like a medical condition. Later, someone asked what I did for work. Before I could even answer, Vanessa jumped in. "He does software stuff. Tech things. Honestly, I don't really understand it." She laughed. Her friends laughed too. "Software engineering," I corrected. "I work on back-end systems for a..." Before I could finish, Vanessa interrupted and touched my arm. "He gets so technical. It's adorable. Adorable." Like I was a little kid proudly showing off a crayon drawing. I let it go. They weren't tech people. They didn't need to understand what I did. Still, it hurt. Then there was the money conversation. We had been talking about taking a vacation together, and I suggested we save a little more money before booking anything. Vanessa immediately rolled her eyes. "You're always so worried about money. We're fine. I'm just trying to be responsible." She shrugged. "You make decent money. I make more. Between us, we're doing great." There it was. Casual. Effortless. I make more. And technically, she was right. She earned around $90,000 a year plus commission as a marketing manager. But what she conveniently ignored was that she had been living in my apartment for nearly a year without paying rent. Most months she contributed around $200 toward groceries, and even that only happened when she remembered. "You know I pay for the apartment, right?" I reminded her. "And I appreciate that," she said. "But come on, Ethan. It's not like you're struggling. You're just careful." Then she added, "Too careful sometimes." I wanted to tell her that being careful was the reason the rent was always paid. Being careful was the reason we had savings. But I stayed quiet. I let it go. That was a mistake. Another time, we were at Chloe's birthday celebration. The venue was one of those rooftop bars with $20 cocktails and a dress code I barely managed to meet. I was having a conversation with a guy about his startup when Vanessa suddenly pulled me aside. "You need to stop doing that," she said. "Doing what?" "Talking about work." I stared at her. "He asked what I do." "I know, but people's eyes glaze over when you start talking about code and systems." He asked. You were boring him. Then she squeezed my arm and smiled. "Just talk about normal things. Sports. Travel. Not work." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You talk about work all the time." "That's different," she replied instantly. "Marketing is interesting. People understand it." Then she kissed my cheek. "I'm just trying to help you make a good impression." So for the rest of the night, I forced myself to talk about sports I didn't watch and vacations I couldn't afford. All while paying the rent for an apartment that I practically lived in alone. Everything was building towards something. I just couldn't see it. Or maybe I did see it and simply didn't want to believe it. Then everything changed. I got a job offer. The email arrived one afternoon and completely altered the direction of my life. A tech company in Austin wanted to hire me as a senior software engineer. The salary? $185,000 a year. At the time, I was earning $68,000. This wasn't just a raise. It was a completely different future. That night, I told Vanessa over dinner. I got a job offer. Senior engineer position in Austin. She barely looked up from her phone. Austin? As in Texas? Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. The salary alone is almost triple what I make now. She laughed. You're not seriously thinking about moving to Texas. I am. This is exactly the kind of role I've wanted for years. She shook her head. Ethan, be serious. My job is here. My friends are here. We have a life here. You can't just uproot everything for more money. It's not just more money. She picked up her phone again. Your job is fine. Then she looked at me like I was being ridiculous. You're just having one of your moments. You'll feel differently tomorrow. But I didn't. Not the next day. Not the day after that either. Still, I didn't push the issue. I had 2 weeks to make a decision. I figured we'd keep talking about it. I thought eventually she'd understand. But we never really talked about it again. And then came the dinner party. Vanessa had asked me to cook that night. Honestly, she always did whenever her friends came over. Her reasoning was simple. You're actually good at it, and I'm not. So I spent nearly 2 hours in the kitchen making salmon, roasted vegetables, and homemade pasta while she got ready. Meanwhile, Vanessa was in the bedroom doing her makeup, fixing her hair, and changing outfits 3 different times before finally deciding on one. Right on schedule, her friends arrived. Jessica, Amber, Chloe, all dressed like they were heading to a professional photo shoot instead of a casual dinner. The moment they walked in, Jessica grinned and said, "Looks like Ethan's playing chef tonight." Everyone laughed. "Yeah," Vanessa added with a smile. "He's useful for that." More laughter. I carried the food to the table. Nobody really acknowledged the effort. No compliments. No appreciation. Just a quick glance before they went back to talking. Dinner started off normally enough. The conversation revolved around work, influencer drama, social media gossip, and a trip to Miami they were planning together. I mostly sat there eating and listening, waiting for a chance to join in naturally. Then Amber turned toward Vanessa. "So, did you close that luxury car deal?" "Not yet," Vanessa replied. "But I'm in the final negotiations. It's a $200,000 contract." "That's insane," Amber said. "You're absolutely killing it." Then Chloe looked at me. "What about you, Ethan? Still doing the computer thing?" "Software engineering," I replied. "Actually, I just got offered a senior posy." Before I could finish, Vanessa jumped in. "He's thinking about moving to Texas for it." She laughed as if the idea itself was ridiculous. "Like that's actually going to happen." The table fell silent. Amber raised an eyebrow. "Wait, you'd move for a job? What about Vanessa?" "It's a really great opportunity," I explained. "The salary is almost triple what I make now." Jessica leaned forward. "Triple? What do you make now? Like 50,000? 68,000. Chloe laughed. "Oh, honey, that's cute." Then she looked at Vanessa. "Didn't you say you make like 90,000? Plus commission," Vanessa said proudly. She was smiling now. "So yeah, I make more than him." Then she shrugged. "Which is why this whole Texas thing is ridiculous." She pointed at herself. "I'm kind of the breadwinner here." The words hit me like a punch. Before I could stop myself, I spoke. "You don't pay rent." The room instantly went silent. Vanessa's smile disappeared. "Excuse me? You haven't paid rent in a year," I said calmly. "I cover the apartment, the utilities, the groceries. You contribute maybe $200 a month." Her face immediately turned red. "Oh my God." She stared at me. "Are you seriously doing this in front of my friends? This is pathetic." "I'm just stating facts." "No," she snapped. "You're being petty because you're embarrassed." Then she turned to her friends and laughed awkwardly. "Can you believe this?" Amber shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Maybe we should—" "No," Vanessa interrupted sharply. "Let's talk about it." She turned back to me. "Ethan, If you're so unhappy, then leave. Go to Texas. Take your little job offer and see how far you get without me. I looked at her. Without you? Yeah. She folded her arms. You think you're special because one company made you an offer? Please. You're boring, Ethan. You spend your weekends playing video games and writing code. I'm the one with the social life, the connections, the actual career trajectory. Without me, you're just some guy who sits in front of a computer all day. Jessica looked down at her plate. Vanessa, I don't think... No, let me finish. At this point, she was fully committed. Her voice kept getting louder. He's been obsessing over this job offer for weeks like it's some huge life decision. Then she pointed at me. Here's the reality. You're not taking it. You're too scared. You'll stay right here. You'll keep your safe little job. And you'll keep cooking my dinners because that's who you are. Then she smiled. You need me to be interesting. I slowly put my fork down. My hands were shaking, but my voice was calm. So you think I need you? She leaned back in her chair. I know you do. Then she crossed her arms. And honestly, leave if you want. You'll be back begging within a month. When you realize how lonely Texas is without someone who actually cares about you. For a moment, I just stared at her. At the woman I had spent 2.5 years with. The woman I had supported, cooked for, cleaned up after. And for the first time, I saw her exactly as she was. I stood up. Start counting. She blinked. What? You said a month. I grabbed my keys. Start counting today. Then I walked into the bedroom, picked up my laptop bag, and headed for the door. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my chest. But strangely, I felt calm, almost peaceful. Vanessa followed me, laughing nervously. Where are you going? You're being dramatic. Out. Ethan, sit down. My friends are here. I looked at her. Your friends just watched you humiliate me. Then I opened the door. Enjoy the rest of your dinner. As I stepped outside, she called after me. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can't handle confrontation. You always run away. I turned around one last time. I'm not running away. Then I looked her directly in the eye. I'm leaving. There's a difference. And with that, I walked out and closed the door behind me. I drove straight to a hotel. After checking in, I sat on the edge of the bed for almost 20 minutes, staring at nothing, just processing everything that had happened. Finally, I opened my laptop. The job offer email was still there. I clicked reply. I accept. When can I start? 15 minutes later, a response arrived. 2 weeks work for you? We'll handle all relocation expenses. I wrote back immediately. Confirmed. Then I sat alone in that hotel room. And for the first time all night, I let myself feel everything. The anger, the hurt, the humiliation, the reality of being talked down to and mocked in front of her friends while they ate a meal I had spent hours preparing with my own hands. But there was something else I felt besides the anger and humiliation. Clarity. Vanessa had been right about one thing. I was stable, reliable, and careful. What she got wrong was thinking that made me boring. I wasn't boring. I wasn't someone who needed her to make life interesting. I was someone who had just accepted a job that would triple his salary and completely change his future, and she wasn't coming along for the ride. The next morning, while Vanessa was out having brunch with her friends, I went back to the apartment and packed everything I needed for the next 2 weeks. Clothes, my laptop, important documents, toiletries, and the essentials. Before leaving, I wrote a note and left it on the kitchen counter beside my key. Took the job, moving to Austin in 2 weeks. Lease is in my name. You have 30 days to find a new place. I'll pay this month's rent to give you time. After that, you're on your own. Ethan. That afternoon, Vanessa called 6 times. I didn't answer. Then came a text. Are you serious? You're throwing a tantrum over one dinner. I replied only once. Not a tantrum, a decision. You have 30 days. She fired back immediately. You can't just kick me out. We've been together over 2 years. I responded, the lease is in my name. You never paid rent. Legally, you're not a tenant. 30 days is generous. A few minutes later, another text came through. This is insane. My friends think you've lost your mind. That was the last message I read before blocking her number. She tried calling from Jessica's phone. I blocked that one too. A few days later, she showed up at my office. Security called upstairs. There's a Vanessa here asking to see you. I didn't even hesitate. Tell her I'm in a meeting. The guard paused. She says it's urgent. Tell her to leave or I'll file a harassment complaint. She left. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur. I gave notice at my job. My boss was disappointed but supportive. My coworkers threw me a farewell lunch, and for the first time in a long while, I remembered what it felt like to be appreciated. They respected me. They valued my work. They genuinely liked having me around. Somewhere along the way, I'd forgotten that feeling. I hired movers and finalized everything for Austin. The company assigned me a relocation specialist who found me an amazing apartment downtown. Modern, clean, and within walking distance of the office. Meanwhile, Vanessa kept trying to reach me. New numbers, new emails. At one point, she even had her mother call. Ethan, this is ridiculous, her mom said. Vanessa made a mistake, but you're being cruel. She has nowhere to go. I kept my voice calm. She has 30 days. That's more than most people get. Her mother sighed. You're going to regret this when you're all alone in Texas. Maybe, I said, but I'll be making $185,000 a year while I regret it. Then I hung up. The day before my move, Vanessa showed up at the apartment while I was loading boxes into the moving truck. She looked completely different from the woman who had mocked me at that dinner table. No makeup, red eyes, hair pulled back carelessly. You're really doing this, she said quietly. I am. She shook her head. Over what I said at dinner. You're really that petty. I looked at her. Petty is humiliating your boyfriend in front of your friends while he cooks dinner for all of you. This isn't pettiness. These are consequences. Tears filled her eyes. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. I was showing off. I know, I said. That makes it worse. She frowned. What does that even mean? It means that's what you really think of me. You just usually know better than to say it out loud. Then she started crying. Please, we can fix this. I'll apologize to everyone. I shook my head. I don't care what you tell them. Then what do you want? She asked desperately. Nothing, I answered. From you, I want nothing. Then I got into my car. She stood there crying in the parking lot as I drove away. I never looked back. Austin turned out to be exactly what I needed. The apartment was perfect, modern, clean, quiet. No one else's clothes hanging in the closet. No one else's mess scattered around the living room. Just my space. My new job was even better than I'd hoped. The team was smart, collaborative, and passionate about the work. During my first week, my manager pulled me aside and said, I just want you to know we're really glad you're here. Your interview was one of the strongest we've seen. I almost didn't know how to respond. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to me that way. Then my first paycheck arrived. $7,150 after taxes and benefits. That was more money than I used to make in an entire month. And now I was earning it every 2 weeks. I bought new furniture, built a proper home office setup, upgraded to a real bed, and even put artwork on the walls. I joined a rock climbing gym. I made friends. I got invited on climbing trips. I attended tech meetups and met people who understood what I did, people who got excited about the same challenges and ideas that energized me. Slowly, I started remembering who I was before Vanessa convinced me I was boring. Through mutual friends, I occasionally heard updates about her. She had moved back in with her parents. Apparently, her $90,000 salary didn't go nearly as far once she actually had to pay rent and cover her own expenses. Her friends had stopped inviting her out as often. Word about the dinner party had spread, and Jessica had reportedly described the whole thing as so cringe. Vanessa had lost the luxury car brand deal she had been bragging about, and her performance at work had started slipping. According to people who knew her, she'd been asking everyone for my new phone number and my Austin address. I didn't care. For weeks after I moved, My phone kept ringing. The number had an Austin area code, and I didn't recognize it. I almost let it go to voicemail, but at the last second I answered. Hello. There was a pause, then a familiar voice. Ethan. Oh my God, you answered. My stomach immediately dropped. Vanessa, I said. How did you get this number? I'm in Austin, she said. I flew down. I needed to see you. How did you get my address? Mark gave it to me. Please, I'm downstairs. Can I come up? Mark. I'd deal with him later. No, please. I flew all the way here. A few minutes later, I went down to the lobby. Vanessa was sitting in one of the chairs near the entrance. She looked exhausted, tired. Nothing like her usual polished, confident self. When she saw me, she stood up. Nice building, she said. I ignored the comment. What are you doing here, Vanessa? She took a deep breath. I needed to apologize. That dinner was a mistake. I was drunk, insecure, and I took everything out on you. I didn't mean any of it. I looked at her. You said I was boring. You said I needed you to be interesting. You said I'd come back begging. Tears filled her eyes. I was wrong. Look at you. New city, new job, new apartment. You're thriving. She hesitated. And, I miss you. I miss us. Then she stepped forward. I could get a job here. We could start over. We could have a fresh start. I stared at her for a moment. You think I want you to move here? Her expression fell. We were good together before I messed everything up. I was insecure about your job offer because it made me feel small. But I'm different now. Different how? I asked. She looked away. I had to move back in with my parents. My friends barely talk to me anymore. I lost the car deal. Work has been terrible. Everything fell apart without you. I nodded slowly. So you came here because you're desperate. I came here because I love you. I shook my head. No. You loved having someone who cooked your dinners, paid your rent, and listened while you told your friends how much more successful you were. That's not fair, she said. You made $90,000 a year and contributed $200 a month while calling yourself the breadwinner. By now, tears were running down her face. I know I was terrible, but people make mistakes. Don't I deserve a second chance? I looked at her calmly. You told me I'd be back begging within a month. She lowered her eyes. It's been 4 weeks, I continued. And here you are, in Austin, begging. Don't be cruel, she whispered. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. I paused. You wanted me to stay small so you could feel big. Now that I'm actually successful, you can't handle it. That's not true. It is true. You wanted me to succeed, just not more than you. That's why you hated the job offer. She wiped at her tears. Please, just give me another chance. No, the answer came instantly. Just like that? She asked in disbelief. Just like that. She stared at me. I flew all the way here. I looked at her and realized I felt absolutely nothing. No anger. No sadness. No regret. Nothing. You told me I'd be lonely in Texas without someone who cared about me, I said. Turns out I made friends. I joined a climbing gym. I got invited on trips. My coworkers respect me and appreciate what I do. I'm not lonely at all. She hesitated before asking quietly, Are you seeing someone? That's none of your business. Her face tightened immediately. So that's it? You just moved on? You replaced me that fast. I shook my head. I didn't replace you. Then I looked her directly in the eye. I upgraded my entire life. You were part of the old version. With that, I turned and walked toward the elevator. Behind me, I heard her voice. You'll regret this, she shouted. I flew all the way here. I stopped and glanced back one final time. Start counting. Then the elevator doors closed. About 2 months later, I received a LinkedIn message. It was from Vanessa Morrison. The message read, Saw your promotion to lead engineer. Congrats. You were right about everything. I hope you're happy. I read it once. Didn't respond. Closed LinkedIn and moved on. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. It was a text from one of my climbing buddies. Still on for the meetup tonight? I smiled and replied, yeah, I'll be there. Then I grabbed my keys, headed out into the Austin sunshine, and got on with my life. And honestly, I never thought about Vanessa again. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Let us know in the comments below.